Hey everyone, this is Steven here, back at it again with another video. In today's video, I plan on going over the NBA card market, but instead of going over a market update, I plan on showing some players that are going down, so their card prices are trending downwards, and then also I'm going to go over some cards that are going up. So I'm going to go over some of the hottest cards in the market right now, and then some of the coldest cards. But before we get into that, if you enjoy this type of content and would like to see more in the future, please feel free to hit the like button and also subscribe. So now that we got that out of the way, we can get into the actual video here. And the main goal and purpose of this video is to help us have a better understanding of the current NBA card market. So we're going to first start out with looking at the players that are trending down. So we're going to look at some of the cards that have gone down the most over the last week. And then after that, we're going to transition over to looking at some of the players that have gone up the most over the last week. So some of the hottest players in the game, and then also look at some of the coldest players and cards in the game. The whole goal of this is just to help us get a better understanding of the current market environment within the NBA basketball card market. And then another reason is I did recently just upgrade on Market Movers to have access to this price movement by player. I think that was an extra $20 or $25. I'm not sure the exact amount. For me personally, if I didn't have this channel, I probably wouldn't upgrade it. I don't think it's worth it to me for the extra $20 or $25. However, if one or a couple people out there watching this actually enjoys this content and find it useful, then it is worth it for me. So that's another reason why I'm just showing this, is because if other people find this useful, then it is worth it for me. So I am going to give this a shot. But again, we're going to be looking at starting with the players that are going down the most. And for this, I filtered by basketball, since we're only looking at basketball for this. And then PSA 10, because that is what drives the market for the most part. So those are the two filters we have on. And then we're just looking at the last 7 days. So we're looking at the players that have gone down the most over the last 7 days. We're going to start with honorable mentions down here. So these are the cards that have gone down the least. And what this is saying is, in this card section here, for Giannis, for example, he has 34 cards within this portfolio. So his portfolio of cards has gone down about 8% over the last week, which is how this table is showing. So this is going by a portfolio of cards. So if we start down the bottom, it looks like Rui Hachimura has gone down about 4%. Michael Jordan cards have gone down about 4.5% with a 23 card portfolio. Kevin Porter Jr. cards about 4.5%. Dwayne Wade cards about 5.5%. Shaq Daddy, the Big Diesel, his 9 card portfolio has gone down about 5.5%. And then Bam, Adebayo's cards have gone down about 6%, which makes sense because they didn't have the best run in the playoffs this year for the Miami Heat. And then Giannis, if you're a Giannis fan, it looks like his cards have gone down about 8.25%. That is a pretty big card portfolio, so if we expand on that, it looks like this 2019 Optic My House card has gone down the most at 34%. Only 2 sells on this. If you come down, a lot of his cards, most of his cards seem to be down. So if you are a Giannis fan, I think now could be a decent time to set this on your watch list and just keep an eye on these cards. I do think that they're probably going to get bounced by the Brooklyn Nets here within the next week or so. So I do anticipate these cards to continue to go down once they get knocked out. The question is, when are they going to stop? But if you are interested in Giannis cards, I think that this could be a time to track his cards and see what they're doing. But his cards overall have gone down about 8.5% over the past week, and they continue to trend down. I do anticipate that to continue to go down when they get knocked out by the Brooklyn Nets, or I should say if they get knocked out, but it's kind of looking like they are not matched up to beat the Nets this year. But if we continue on, we got Marvin Bagley, the third, down about 8.8%. DeAndre Hunter, about 9% down. Kobe Bryant cards down about 12% with a 41 card portfolio. Brandon Ingram's cards are down. Joel Embiid's another one that I found kind of interesting, but his cards are down about 16%. This is a smaller portfolio with not a lot of sales, 14 sales with a 3-card portfolio. But his rookie cards here, the Prism 2014 base is down about 20%. And the Concourse is down 10%, whereas the Hoops is down about 8%. So if you're interested in Joel Embiid and have high conviction in him over the long term, I think that this could be a good time to set a watcher on Embiid and just kind of track the cards, because they are trending down and they are down from their highs. I don't know when they're going to stop, but I do think that some of the concerns are that, he re-hurt that knee, and there are a lot of injury concerns with him. So I think that that's one of the reasons why this card continues to trend down. But if you have high conviction in him, I would definitely, put a watcher on some of his cards and just see what they do. And then Paul George, his cards are down, 3-card portfolio down about 18%, and that makes sense. He's not having the best playoff run this year with the Clippers. Not a lot of sales there, only 9, but still down about 18%. And then Michael Porter Jr. down 18.5%, which also makes sense. He's not having the best series against the Suns right now. His cards are down about 18.5%, which is a pretty big portfolio here. But if you're a big Michael Porter Jr. fan, again, this might be the time to set a watcher on some of these cards, and kind of track to see what they do. But again, he's not having the best series against the Suns right now. And then we have Jimmy Butler cards. Jimmy Buckets is down about 19%. Smaller card portfolio with smaller number of sales, but still down about 19%. Kyle Kuzma down about 20%, which makes sense. He did not have a good playoff run this year with the Lakers. And then we get into some of the biggest losers for the week. We have Carmelo Anthony down about 26%, which I found pretty interesting. 4-card portfolio, 7 sales, about almost 30% down. Mitchell Robinson, really small number of sales with a small portfolio, but he's down about 30%. And then Kendrick Nunn is down about 32% with a 3-card portfolio and 11 sales. So not that many sales. But again, this is showing some of the cards that have gone down the most over the past week. So if any of these players have interest to you, just go check them out and just put them on your watch list and kind of see where the cards go. But if you feel that they're getting too low or you're getting intrigued, I think this is a good starting point just to show, which players are going down, and we can kind of use this to hopefully make better buys moving forward. But again, if any of these players catch your eye, just feel free to, put them on your watch list and just wait to see what happens. So now that we went over players that went down the most, we're going to transition over to players that went up the most. So for this, again, I filtered on basketball and PSA 10s. So the same filters here, but instead of the percent down, I'm looking at the percent up. So this is going to show the players that have gone up the most over the past week. So we're going to start down at the bottom. And it looks like Kobe White's cards are up about 3%. Kyrie Irving's up about 3.3%. He's having a really good playoff run so far. Big Timmy D's cards are up about 3%. So, keeping up with inflation, but this is over a 1-week period. So 3% over 1 week is pretty dang good. And then we have, let's see who else. David Robinson up about 6%. Garland, so Darius Garland on Cleveland, he's up about 7%. Jaren Jackson Jr. about 8%. Damian Lillard up about 9%. They did recently just get knocked out of the playoffs. So I wonder if some of this has to do with some of the new rumors that, they could be getting Mike D'Antoni as their head coach. That would probably help out the offense a lot over there in Portland, but still up 9% after being knocked out of the playoffs. It's pretty good. So Damian Lillard cards up. DeAndre Ayton's having an amazing playoff run so far. He's exceeding many expectations. He's having a really good run so far, but he's up about 10.3%. It's a 14-card portfolio with 86 sales, so a decent amount of sales. But he is definitely trending up over the last week after his recent playoff performance. Bulls cards are up about 13% for some reason. I don't have the answer for that one. Gary Trent Jr.'s cards are up about 14%. Kevin Durant, the Durantula, he's up about 15%, which makes sense because he is having an amazing run so far in the playoffs. Kevin Durant is an intriguing player, and I mentioned this in my last video, but I'm very interested in a lot of his cards. They've gone up a lot over the past week, so 15% for total portfolio, but his Topps Chrome base is up about 65%. His finest is up 90%. Base factory set rookies are up about 16%. So there's definitely a lot of upward movement for Kevin Durant's cards over the last week. So if you're into buying into the hype and have high conviction that Kevin Durant and the Nets are going to make a big playoff run, which it looks like they are, this could be a time to set a watch list on some of his cards. Probably the better time would have been a couple weeks ago, but still his cards are trending up. And then we have Brandon Clark up about 16%. Donovan Mitchell is another intriguing player. He's up about 16.5% over the last week. So really significant increase over the last week. He's been playing very well for the Jazz currently, really leading the charge. And then if we expand on this, it's pretty interesting. I thought this 2017 Optic Shock is up 111%. So I actually have this card in a PSA 9. So I'm going to check out the 9 prices on this after. And if that's up just as much as this, I'd be interested to sell. But one thing I did find interesting was a lot of his cards are up. And the biggest one here is this Optic Shock, 111%. But if you scroll down, the same year, so still his rookie card, but this is the Blue Velocity PSA 10, is down 12%, which I thought, there's not a big number of sales, but I did think that was pretty interesting to see that this card was down, 12%, whereas the same card, just a different variation, was up 110%. And this one has a higher population. So I think a lot of that is driven by, the lack of sales. So there's just not a lot of data, but I did find that kind of interesting how, the same card, just a different variation. One's trending significantly up, whereas one's down. So that it could be something to look into if you are a Donovan Mitchell fan. And then another one I found interesting was Porzingis. His cards are up 19%, which I found pretty shocking because he had a terrible postseason run. However, his cards are up 19%. I wonder if there's some trade speculation going on or something like that. But I did find that interesting that his cards have gone up 19% over the last week. And then if we scroll up, getting into the biggest risers, we have Bridges here up about 20%, Cameron Johnson 25%, and then Chris Paul, his 2-card portfolio with 9 sales, so not the biggest portfolio or number of sales, is up about 33%, which makes sense because he's having a great playoff run so far. The Suns look like the team to beat out in the West. They're playing really well, and it's led by Chris Paul. And then another one that I found kind of interesting was Colin Sexton, but his 3-card portfolio is up about 43% with only 14 sales, but still, over the last week, his cards have gone up the most. So that is the list of the players that have gone up the most over the last week. I really hope that you enjoyed this content, and I hope that you found some of this stuff interesting and also entertaining. If you did, please feel free to hit the like button and also subscribe. Thanks, and have a good rest of your day. Bye.